Tamilnadu Board, first year 11th class का चैप्टर नंबर 1। इसमें टोटल 23 चैप्टर्स है। चैप्टर नंबर 1 इंडिया जोग्राफिकल फीचर्स एंड देयर इम्पैक्ट ऑन हिस्ट्री। सेकेंड, historic India in the Harappan culture. Third, the Vedic culture. Fourth, Chinese and Buddhism. Five, the rise of Magadha and Alexander's invasion. 6, the Maurya Empire. 7, post-Maurya India. 8, Sangami. 9, Gupta Empire. 10, Harshvardhana 606 to 647 AD. 11, South Indian kingdoms. First, Pallavas. 12, South Indian kingdom. Second, Chalukyas and Rashtrakutas. 13, Imperial Cholas. 14, the spread of Indian culture in other Asian countries. 15th, early medieval India. 16th, Delhi Sultanate. 17, India under the Delhi Sultanate. 18, Bhakti movement in medieval India. 19, Vijayanagar and Brahmini kingdoms. 20, the Mughal Empire. 21, India under the Mughals. 22, the Marathas. 23, the coming of Europeans. India's geographical. Chapter number 1, India geographical features and their impact on history. It is generally said that history has two eyes. One is chronology and other is geography. In other words, time and space are significant factors in determining the historical process. In particular, a country's geography largely determines its historical events. The history of India is also influenced by its geography. Hence, the study of Indian geographical features contributes to better understanding of its history. The Indian subcontinent is a well-defined geographical unit. It may be divided into 3 major regions: the Himalayan mountains, the Indo-Gangetic plains, and the southern peninsula. There are 5 countries in the subcontinent: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. India is the largest among them, and it comprises 29 states and 6 union territories. According to the 2011 census, the population of India is over 100 crores. ये 20 स्टेट्स 28 + 8 होगा 28। इसमें पुराना डेटा दिया हुआ है। The Himalayan mountains are situated on the north of India, starting from the Pamir in the extreme northwest of India. The mighty Himalayan ranges extend towards northeast. It has a length of nearly 2,560 kilometers, 2560 kilometers, with an average breadth of 240 to 320 kilometers. The highest peak of the Himalaya is known as Mount Everest, with its height being 8869 meters. It acts as a natural wall and protects the country against the cold Arctic winds blowing from Siberia through Central Asia. This keeps the climate of northern India fairly warm throughout the year. The Himalayan region is mostly inhospitable in winter and generally covered with snow. It was considered for a long time that the Himalayas stood as a natural barrier to protect India against invasion, but the passes in the northwest mountains, such as the Khyber, Bolan, Kohram, and Gomal, provided easy route between India and the Central Asia. These passes are situated in the Hindukush, Suleiman, and Kitha ranges. From prehistoric times, there was a continuous flow of traffic through these passes. Many people came to India through these passes as invaders and immigrants. The Indo-Aryans, the Indo-Greeks, Parsians, Sakas, Kushanas, Hunas, and Turks entered India through these passes. The Swat Valley in this region formed another important route. Alexander of Macedon came to India through this route. Apart from invading armies, missionaries and merchants came to India using these routes. Therefore, these passes in the northwest mountains had facilitated trade as well as cultural contacts between India and the Central Asia. In the north of Kashmir is Karakoram range, the second highest peak in the world. Mount Godwin Austen is situated here. This part of Himalayas and its passes are high and snow covered in the winter. The Karakoram highway via Gilgit is connected to Central Asia, but there was little communication through this route. The valley of Kashmir is surrounded by high mountains. However, it could be reached through several passes. The Kashmir valley remains unique for its tradition and culture. Nepal is also a small valley under the foot of Himalayas, and it is accessible from Gangetic Plains through a number of passes. In the east, the Himalayas extend up to Assam. The important mountains in this region are Patkoi, Nagai, and Lushai ranges. These hills are covered with thick forests due to heavy rains and mostly remains inhospitable. The mountains of northeast India is difficult to cross, and many parts of this region had remained in relative isolation. The Indo-Gangetic Plain. The Indo-Gangetic Plain is irrigated by three important rivers, the Ganges, Indus, and Brahmaputra. This vast plain is most fertile and productive because of the alluvial soil brought by the streams of the rivers and its tributaries. The Indus River rises beyond the Himalayas, and its major tributaries are the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Satluj, and Beas. The Punjab plains are benefited by the Indus River system, and the literal meaning of the term Punjab is the land of five rivers. Sindh is situated at the lower valley of the Indus. The Indus plain is known for its fertile soil. The Thar Desert and Aravalli hills are situated in between the Indus and Gangetic plains. Mount Abu is the highest point, 5,650 feet. In the Aravalli hills, the Ganges river rises in the Himalayas, flows south and then towards the east. The river Yamuna flows almost parallel to the Ganges and then joins it. The area between these two rivers is called Doab, meaning the lane between two rivers. The important tributaries of the Ganges are the Gomti, Saryu, Ghagra, and Gandak. In the east of the Ganga, the Gange plains merges into the plains of Brahmaputra. The river Brahmaputra rises beyond the Himalayas, flows across Tibet, and then continues through the plains of northeast India. In the plains, it is a vast but a slow-moving river forming several islands. The Indo-Gangetic plain has contributed to the rise of urban centers, particularly on the river banks or at the confluence of rivers. The Harappan culture flourished in the Indus Valley. The Vedic culture prospered in the western Gangetic plain. Banaras, Allahabad, Agra, Delhi, and Patliputra are some of the important cities of Gangetic plain. The city of Patliputra was situated at the confluence of Son river with the Ganges. In the ancient period, Patliputra had remained the capital for the Mauryas, Shungas, Guptas, and other kingdoms. The most important city on the western side of Gangetic plain is Delhi. Most of the decisive battles of Indian history, such as the Kurukshetra, Tarain, and Panipat, were fought near Delhi. Also, this plain had always been a source of temptation and attraction for the foreign invaders due to its fertility and productive wealth. Important powers fought for the possessions of these plains and valleys, especially the Ganga-Yamuna Doab proved to be the most coveted and contested area. The rivers in this region served as arteries of commerce and communication. In ancient times, it was difficult to make roads, and so men and material were moved by boat. The importance of rivers for communication continued till the days of the East India Company. The Southern Peninsula. The Vindhya and Satpura mountains, along with Narmada and Tapi rivers, form the great dividing line between northern and southern India. The plateau to the south of the Vindhya mountains is known as the Deccan Plateau. It consists of volcanic rock, which is different from the northern mountains. As these rocks are easier to cut into, you find a number of rock-cut monasteries and the temples in the Deccan. The Deccan Plateau is flanked by the Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. The Coromandel coast stands between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats runs along the Arabian Sea, and the lanes between these are known as the Konkan up to Goa, and beyond that as Canara. The southernmost part is known as Malabar coast. The passes in the Western Ghats like Jonar, Kanheri, and Karle linked the trade routes to the western ports. The Deccan Plateau acted as a bridge between the north and south India. However, the dense forests in the Vindhyan mountains makes this region isolated from the north. The language and culture in the southern peninsula are preserved intact for a long time due to this geographical isolation. In the southern end remains the famous Palghat Pass. It is the passage across the Ghats from the Kaveri Valley to the Malabar coast. The Palghat Pass was an important trade route for the Indo-Roman trade in the ancient times. The Naimudi is the highest peak in the southern peninsula, though the Beta is another highest peak in the western Ghats. The eastern Ghats are not very high and have several openings caused by eastward flow of rivers into the Bay of Bengal. The port cities of Arikamedu, Mamalapuram and Kavaripatnam were situated on the Coromandel coast. The major rivers of southern peninsula are almost running parallel. Mahanadi is at the eastern end of peninsula. Narmada and Tapi run from east to west. Other rivers like the Godavari, Krishna, Tungabhadra and Kaveri flow from west to east. These rivers make the plateau into a fertile rice-producing soil. Throughout history, the region between Krishna and Tungabhadra tried to draw up remained a bond of contention between the major kingdoms of south, the deltaic plains formed by these two rivers at their mouths became famous under the Satavahanas. A number of towns and ports flourished in these plains in the beginning of the Christian era. The Kaveri Delta constitutes a distinct geographical zone in the far south. It became the seat of the Chola power. The Kaveri Basin, with its rich tradition, language, and culture, has flourished from the ancient times as the southern peninsula is gifted with a long coastline. The people of this region took keen interest in the maritime activities. A great deal of trade and commerce went on through the seaways from the earliest times. In the east, miners reached countries like Java, Sumatra, Burma, and Cambodia. Apart from trade, they spread Indian art, religion, and culture in these parts of the world. The commercial contacts between South India and the Greco-Roman countries flourished along with cultural relations. India, a land of unity and diversity. The history of ancient India is interesting because India proved to be a melting pot of numerous races. The pre-Aryans, the Indo-Aryans, the Greeks, the Scythians, the Huns, the Turks made India their home. Each ethnic group contributed its might to the making of Indian culture. All these peoples mixed up so inextricably with one another in that at present none of them can be identified in their original form. Different cultures mingled with one another through the ages. Many pre-Aryans or Dravidian terms occur in the Vedic texts. Similarly, many Pali and Sanskritic terms appear in the Sangam literature. Since the ancient times, India has been the land of several religions. Ancient India witnessed the birth of Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, but all these cultures and religions intermingled with one another. Although Indian people speak different languages, practice different religions, and observe different social customs, they follow certain common styles of life throughout the country. Therefore, our country shows a deep underlying unity in spite of great diversity. In fact, the ancients strove for unity. They looked upon this vast subcontinent as one land. The name Bharatvarsha, or the land of Bharata, was given to the whole country after the name of the ancient tribe called the Bharatas. Our ancient poets, philosophers, and writers viewed the country as an integral unit. The kind of political unity was attained at least twice during the Maurya and Gupta Empire. The unity of India was recognized by foreigners. They first came into contact with the people living on the Sindhu or the Indus, and so they named the whole country after this river. The word Hind is derived from the Sanskrit term Sindhu, and in course of time the country came to be known as India in Greek and Hindi, in Persian and Arabic languages. Efforts for the linguistic and cultural unity of the country were made through the ages. In the 3rd century BC, Prakrit language served as the lingua franca of the country throughout the major portion of India. Sukhas inscriptions were written in the Prakrit language. Also, the ancient epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, were studied with the same zeal and devotion throughout the country. Originally composed in Sanskrit, these epics came to be presented in different local languages. Also, the Indian cultural values and ideas were expressed in different forms. The substance remained the same throughout the country. Hence, India has emerged a multi-religious and multicultural society. However, the underlying unity and integrity and the plural character of Indian society remain the real strength for the development of the country.